Welcome, welcome, welcome. That's one of our openings that Bill and I like to use. Today's question is, what does Easter mean to you? And it's fascinating because it's one of those questions that I've never asked it. And it just came about because I was doing some doodling and I started to draw some Easter lilies. And I was curious, in sort of a minute, 90 seconds, would you share with us what Easter means? And since Bill's always one to pick on to start off, Bill, what does Easter mean to you?
It's for us, it's usually the first get together with the family, since the first significant get together with all of family at since Christmas. So we've got our little traditions on Friday. You know, we have the like fish and chips, because no meat Friday for Catholics and that sort of thing. So, but that's the time when the family finally gets together, and it's more so on Good Friday that everybody, so like extended family, cousins and stuff like that. And so that's a big time, I think, that, you know, because you get through all the winter blues and things are starting to open up. The sky's a little more sunny. You can get outside and that sort of thing. And it's just finally that time to come together. And yeah, it's enjoyable.
Thank you. And Jacqueline, does Easter have a specific meaning to you and your family?
I would say it's changed quite a bit over the years because I've moved away from my Catholic traditions. So today is actually a big day for us because it's Holy Thursday and we celebrate Mary Magdalene. So one of the groups that I belong to, we have, I think at 3:00 this afternoon, we have a big prayer for her, because this was the day when she anointed Jesus in preparation for the death.
I'm getting goosebumps, and because I am a big fan of Mary Magdalene. I've read the Mary Magdalene monologues, and it changed my whole life from a perspective of the story that was told to me about Easter, and then the significance of Mary Magdalene and actually uplifting Jesus to be able to do what he did.
Absolutely. So that's kind of become a little bit more important for me. Easter's also always been my son's birthday, my oldest son. So he was born April 5th. So it falls a lot on Easter. So,
beautiful.
And as you know, in South Africa, you don't know this, but we could have great weather. We could have an ice storm this weekend.
And let's move it over to Irene. What does Easter mean to you? And specifically, in what ways do you celebrate it?
Easter is very important to me personally. It has a bit of a background as well, but I think it is just going through the whole crucifixion with Jesus. I've once read a book, and I can't get to the nail of something. I forgot the author, but that I was reading over Easter, and it's Thorns, I can't remember the name. But anyway, that has given me a deep, deep meaning of the crucifixion and what that actually means, Easter, to us, each and every one. And we must really take up that salvation that is offered to us. So that is my main meaning, especially Good Friday.
Thank you so much. And Hartmut, specifically to you, what does Easter mean?
Yeah, for me, it's also so much of a, if I can call it a story of conflicts. On the one side, that you feel so deeply saddened that such a fantastic person like Jesus Christ had to die for all our sins and being crucified for in such a cruel way. And then at the end, going through the weekend and his resurrection and being coming to life again. And there's so much of hope at the end of this actually very hopeless situation that you experience with Good Friday and Thursday and the crucifixion. And then on Sunday, it just says, okay, if you just believe in it, it will turn to the better. So it's just a fantastic way of going from one extreme to the other.
Thank you, Hartmut. And I'm going to bring it back to Bill because I probably didn't set you up well enough. Can you, if you were to meet an alien and they were to come and say, what is this Easter thing? Can you explain it to us sort of in a minute?
Oh, wow.
You know, a nice lob pass, Bill.
Exactly,
Right?
exactly. You know, fight the checker off your back. Um, yeah, it would be basically explaining that somebody many years ago named Jesus went and, you know, sacrificed himself for all of us so that we could be saved and enjoy a good life. And then because of his goodness, he was resurrected to continue on his message.
Thank you. Irene, would you like to add a little bit to what it means to you, the story of Easter weekend?
Well, it's actually that Hartmut and traveled on Easter while me reading this book, and I'm just trying to find the label of it. And he actually traveled with a tour group down to Port Elizabeth, which is quite a long drive. And he, on that day, something just touched me so dearly that I had to follow him the whole trip through. And he started complaining about a massive headache. And yeah, it ended up in quite a weird story, but yeah, we had quite a deep, Hartmut actually had a slight stroke that specific day in the evening without us knowing it. And so that is just for me a connotation with Easter that I will never forget, through that whole stress of a stroke and getting through it and not knowing about it. And reading that book, which gave me the strength to carry through. So that is, for me, Easter, it is just a salvation. Yes, it's family time and it's Easter eggs, that all, but that's not for me the meaning of it all.
Beautiful. Thank you, Irene. And I'm going to bring it back to Jacqueline. Yet at first, I'm going to read the quote for today. And it is a balanced equilibrium. It's a time of growth and moving forward in new and positive ways. With psychic energy in abundance, it is the ideal month to start meditating for the purpose of healthier living and raising consciousness. And Jacqueline, I guess I'm going to ask you to sort of bring in the upbringing from the Catholic side and then the introduction to the divine goddess of Mary Magdalene. And what does Easter mean? What does this weekend mean to you now?
From the Catholic perspective, I think for me, it was very difficult because I just couldn't grasp an only son of God. That was very difficult for me. Now it means a lot about ascension. I think Jesus was here not only to teach us how to live, but how to die as well. So that dying to the old self, the ego self, not being attached to the physical body and the material world, but being able to ascend the physical world and knowing that we're also a soul. So
beautiful.
That's a little bit what it means to me.
Well, it's beautiful. I really wanted to infuse this into today's discussion, given it is a particular time in our lives. And I'm going to bring it back to Hartmut with what you've been hearing and the way that we're talking about this, and flip it a wee bit. Is that what can we learn from Easter weekend and infuse it perhaps in our business, in our social enterprise? What can it teach us? And perhaps one lesson that we can apply in some of the experiments that we'll explore in April. I know, a simple little question, Hartmut. And I'm inviting you to breathe into it because it's pretty cool, because I don't expect you to have the full beautiful bouquet that might be, yet it might actually click something for you to. What are the lessons from Easter that can be applied in your business?
Yeah, it is just a situation of really also focusing on even if situations seem to be not so good, or if they might even feel hopeless, just stay at it, remain in it, and there's just so much hope to come out of this, and so much proof that things can and are going to turn better as long as what you believe in it, and as long as what you open up to receive it. I think it is just a wonderful time of the year, which now that you started this whole conversation, just makes you so much more aware to say we must actually just focus a lot more on that, and just say, okay, it's just Easter with a lot of good ideas. It's a new beginning, and just go for it, and with all enthusiasm that you can bring up.
Thank you. And Bill? in what ways can Easter's lessons or one specific lesson from Easter that you might experiment with or infuse it into your many wonderful projects you're playing with?
Well, actually, timing is good. I guess it's just a time for growth. Everything's starting up. I mean, it is sort of an indication of spring. So starting new projects, maybe taking the company on a different route for growth. I think it's an opportunity for that.
Thank you. And Irene?
Yeah, for me as well, as I say, it is every year, a renewal in a certain way, which I really believe start with new energy as it was meant to be.
When I think of your gardens, I'm thinking really of that cycle of the planting and even the flowers when they push through the soil. We can imagine that Jesus pushing through to come about and to shine light on all of us. So there might be that component that could infuse a whole new round of waffles and different flavors and different smells and different aromas that can truly be a new beginning. And with that, Jacqueline, what might be a lesson to apply from beginning of April and opening up your psychic ability that might be part of the journey in this wonderful month?
Yeah, I think the same thing, renewal. Persephone is coming out of the underworld and just all the growth around I think it's a great opportunity for growth and renewal.
Very good. And I was asked, you got a haircut. What did happen? I went to have a haircut yesterday, and it was with a lady that's been cutting my mom's hair for over 40 years. And that lady's shop has been closed in Malton. And that lady has been cutting people's hair at her home, and we have to wear a mask, and she's doing all the proper health rules. But I sat there for 45 minutes listening to her tell stories from when I was like 10 years old and when I was traveling abroad from her perspective. Yet she was often talking about her customers, because her customers are traveling 30, 40, 50 minutes to come visit her to get their haircut, bringing their husbands, bringing their parents, bringing people from all around to this lady's house to cut their hair, because she does it in such a way. And it was her philosophy. She kept saying that when people come to her house, that she often says, "This is your house. You're the one who paid for it." And then when people go and visit with her, whether it was in Malton or where it is now, and they say, "Oh, I've got to go there, but I don't have a car." And she goes, "Oh, use my car. It's your car. You paid for it." And so she's got this philosophy that her customers and people have been with her. My mom will travel 40 minutes to go see her. Now it's lucky, it's only 10 minutes away. But my mom took my dad to get his haircut one time in the last year. I decided to go get a renewal yesterday, sat there for 45 minutes listening to stories. And it was just this concept of customer service and customer focus that I wanted to bring to this meeting today, and just maybe invite a whole new renewal. Yet her gratitude of her customers paid for her house, her customers paid for her cars, her customers, she owes so much to them. And she did it with such elegance yet humor, because she basically did a monologue for 45 minutes while she cut her hair. I'm just laughing with her laughter. And so it's really quite fascinating. And with that, I guess I'd like to bring in from a customer experiment. What would be an experiment that you're looking to do in the next month, or perhaps engaging customers differently in the next week, next month, that could be fun for you? I'll start with Irene with that.
Well, I took up your challenge of the international days, and I found the Mother Earth Day to be my motto, and I'm going to work on that one because it coincides with my birthday. So I found that very appropriate, and I'm busy getting my mind full and my senses into the whole week, a day of something. So I think that is also, yeah, appropriate of starting a new angle on this whole thing. So
when will that be? When?
In April. The Mother Earth Day is 22 April. So I'm going to use the whole week.
Beautiful. Again, that's what's really great. So April 22nd, we're hearing Mother Earth Day. We're hearing that you might do a week full of events. Thank you for that. Because again, I think Jacqueline might resonate with that. Bill might resonate with that. Bill and I might do a special show on that. So that's really wonderful. And I believe that's probably around the full moon. It's going to be quite an experience too. So that's awesome, Irene. Thank you. And Hartmut, what might be an experiment for you in the month of April that you want to put out there and perhaps get some feedback on ways to even magnify it more?
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the whole enthusiasm again, and what the sort of discussion that we constantly have on Thursday afternoons, it just enthuses you so much that you actually want to do more. And I just need to bring something into our business as well, to really try and focus on giving more to clients, a lot more than what they expect, and just by focusing on good service. I just had a wonderful experience in the last 20 minutes where I had a little breakdown here at home and I was busy with it, and I called somebody who's actually in that company that can help, and they, instead of giving me advice, he said, no, I'm not too far away, I'll come around. And he came around and I said, okay, let me pay. No, he doesn't want any money. It's fantastic. And I said, just that going out of your way. And then I gave him a bottle of wine, and the appreciation that was there, he just went so much further than what anybody could have expected. And I think we must just, in the new era approaching us now, we must just look at how much, what else we can do for clients, not to only make them feel special, but to also give something back in terms of what has been happening in the last couple of years in terms of making money and making a living. But how can you really add something that adds true meaning to it?
Beautiful. I really honor you for that, and love the idea of even breathing into that concept of what can I do to truly express my gratitude. I'm looking at our board for the abundance, and it says, I remember to be grateful. And then when we fill ourselves with that gratitude, when we can express that to somebody, it's just so beautiful. So yeah, that's another thing that perhaps can be experimented with this week. Instead of the habits that we might have, we might blossom into a new color, a new vibration, a new expression. And so I'm inviting everyone to explore that. Thank you, Hartmut. And Bill.
I usually take this time of the year to start catching up with people, and it's usually a quiet time for me. So I take the time just to learn more about what's going on and ask questions and find out what people are looking for. So I guess it's more of a time for questions and surveys and that sort of thing, to see how I can improve or find new things for people.
Super. And Jacqueline.
Yeah, so we're going to be hopefully launching the website next Thursday. And one of the things we talked about doing was if they pre-book their Mother's Day gifts by April 30th, we're going to include a roll-on oil, whether it's rose to represent, of course, Mary, because I love rose, or if it's a healing oil, they'll get to choose. It's not a lot, but it's just a little add-on to just say great thank you for ordering and pre-booking with us. But now I kind of have to think about Earth Day. How that?
Well, that's what's really great if you use the UN calendar, and even I believe tomorrow is World Autism Day. So the team I work with in India, this week we're every day we're sending out different types of memes or different types of greetings, and creating the opportunity for our students to create engaging pictures, quotes, and then sharing it on social media. And that is something that I'm excited about, because they keep sharing it with us and then asking for the feedback. My feedback is often, well, that looks great, because that's where my mind is. Yeah, as a designer, they might have a different, oh, this color, this font. And that's, again, a skill that I'm developing, and through art with Bill, and with looking at being a better artist. And we just ran the forum with Ari on the art business. And now there's all these ideas that we can take pictures from our phone and actually create an art piece from it. And the possibilities with that is just, I'm overflowing with possibilities, because I have been experimenting so much with pencil and paint and coloring, and now I'm thinking with the phone, and then maybe with like a professional with Ari, I have a feeling if I spend an hour or a couple hours and even commission him to take some of my existing pictures on my phone, or even some of the ideas of what can be painted, stay tuned. I think this space could get very exciting. And then putting it onto NFTs and again, experimenting with that world, not expecting to be a multi-millionaire from art, yet guess what? It's very possible. That's the funny thing about the world, that when you focused on something in your life, it's fascinating how it comes and blossoms in sometimes a different way than we expected. Yet often the results are very similar.
Mhm.
And so with that, if there was a little bit of a dream or a hope, because that was the concept we did this week with Pray Love, and I think Bill was watching that. What would be a dream that you would like to do, be, or have in the next 1, 3, or 5 years? And funny, because when I was talking to Deb about this, we sort of capped it, like, because she said she wants to do another song, yet it's really just for people around her. I guess, why not throw it out there that it could be an award-winning Emmy or something like that? Why not throw it out to the universe to say it can go global, or not with an attachment to it, but more of letting go of the fear that if you do something collaboratively and expressively, it might have that impact that is, wow. Hartmut, do you have something like that you might want to share? Is there a film in you, or is there a little documentary, or is there something with animals, or telling the South African story? What's in you that you might want to leak out today?
Yeah, I think Dave, you've just got a way of really enthusing us, and you're just opening up the world and just say, let's be creative and let's do something. And the try is the sky is the limit to really try and focus on that. And I think one of the things is just whenever you wake up in the morning, just your first thought must be positive, and just think big and aim high as possible. Yeah, in this whole setup, see how we can maybe turn our tours and our destinations and our animals around to start making a lot more sense and adding a lot more meaning to the average client customer that might come in, so that they can also get carried away with this kind of thought. And just to get something special out of it. As I always say on my journeys, it's for the people, it should not just be a journey, it should be an experience. It should be something that stays with you forever. I think we must just build that into whatever we trying to come up now in this new year from now on.
I'm going to come back to you because I want you to personalize it a little bit more. All right. I want something that is bubbling in you. Is it again, some of your pictures are amazing. It's funny because today when I looked at my Facebook stream, it was a friend of mine from Malaysia who's in Africa right now, and he's walking with 2 big lions. And so he basically posted on his Facebook, oh, taking the cats out for a little walk today. And like, how cool is that, right? and so so that's what I'm inviting, is there a picture that you have, or is there something that amazing experiences for your customer? I have a feeling that is there. Let's personalize a little bit. Irene, what would be something for you?
I would like to share the beauty of nature and the colors of nature, that I would like to share more openly with people, be it in food, be it in the nature experience, in the mindfulness, but this sharing of nature and the colorful palette that we actually have to our usage.
Beautiful. I invite you to reconnect or connect again with Connie, because she tends to be one of these people that, wow, what she does with food, what she does with her experiments, what she does with her kids, so inspiring that way. And she is a little bit WWW, weird, wonderful, and wacky is my analogy there. Yet we definitely see how we might be able to reconnect that more and play with that space, because those cross border triangulations, when you can do something with 3 people, I think Jacqueline will like this, is it creates the triad, and the triad has so much power, and we really can go all around the world just like we're doing right now and energize things and activate vortices and activate portals and have so amazing vibration that really does raise the vibration of 3 points, yet each of the points between them also gets activated. So play with that. How about Bill?
I got to get this first one out. I was going to do this to you guys on Tuesday, but I thought, no, it wasn't really the time. But my dream is that the Leafs win the cup, and I hope that it happens within my lifetime.
This year seems to be a possibility. Very good.
So, anyways, no, for Hartmut and Irene, do you follow hockey at all?
Ice
Hartmut,
hockey.
do you follow hockey, ice hockey?
Very little, because we don't get a lot of viewing from anywhere here, really.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, no.
So are you familiar with the Toronto Maple Leafs? Have you ever heard of that team?
No.
Just to give you some background. So anyways, for Dave and I are probably the very, very few lucky people that have seen the Toronto Maple Leafs actually win the National Hockey League Championship. We were actually alive.
You weren't born that early, were you?
Yes, we were.
Was it 67? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh shit.
So they have not won a championship since then, and it's sort of the running thing throughout the pros, or when you're talking with your buddies, if you say you're a Leaf fan, you always get abused, so to speak. So anyways, we have a good team this year, and there's a lot of potential, so I thought I would throw that out there. But on the serious side, my dream is to help one of my friends help build a successful business, probably like up around 7 figures or something like that, and then hopefully within the next 3 to 5 years.
I hope I'm that friend, because 7 figures sounds really good.
7 figures.
There's a room. I'm looking at as many as I can, so
That's great. And Jacqueline?
I think for me, and Bill's not going to like this, but the website's not a project of passion for me. It's a kind of a means of making a little bit of money. I'm on the last chapter of my book, so I want to build the confidence to be able to share that and get it out in the world. And I'd really love to eventually create a course around the book. So that's my goal, is to try to get this book out to the world and have the confidence to share it.
Well, I've got a few people that are very interested to help you with it, to potentially even interview you, practicing some of the interviews, practicing some of the social media. So when you're ready to reach out and have some of those conversations, you got people around you who really want to assist you with it. There was also,
I think that's what, sorry.
I
think that's one of the things I really need to build, is maybe do a Toastmasters, because I'm still terrible at speaking and I still get shaky and sweaty. And
well, let me give you a little survey. Raise your hand if you believe that she's actually quite good when she speaks.
Oh,
okay. So this is about the self-talk a little bit. So you're actually very well spoken and you articulate yourself. Yet practicing is going to be really important. We even had an idea that there might even be a little documentary or a little movie that might even be part of it. So it's something that you got some people that would like to brainstorm with you on it also, and discuss it and answer any questions, yet also ask questions that can assist you getting a little bit more comfortable talking about any topic. Yeah.
I asked Bill if he would read it, and he told me he might not understand it.
I have a friend who has offered. She's actually an expert at, actually it's Suan, who she reads scripts. She gives feedback to people for movie scripts and things like that. So she's actually a professional in that field. So if you want, we can make that reconnection, and you can have a chat with her too. And she interviewed a lady recently who did a book on menopause and did a 3-part series on helping the book come into reality through interview. because menopause is one of those topics that isn't often talked out a lot. Yet this lady spent a couple of years writing this book on menopause, and Sue-Ann brought it to life through interviews.
Oh, cool. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, so there's a few opportunities there, and that goes this possibility of a picture book, or as you guys continue to explore nature in South Africa, and then weave in those stories, those little beautiful stories, on whether it's the story of your garden, or your story of your tour business, or your story of some of the animals, or even the flood that you had this year. There's probably a beautiful story behind the story behind the story. And that's one of the things, as a storyteller, his story is often told. And it's usually the winner of wars tell history and have told us the history that we believe. Her story can be very different. And that's what Jacqueline's sharing when she says, when we think about Easter, that's his story. That was written very purposely by the church. Her story behind the weekend, wow, that is a very, very different story. And
Sorry.
wow. And that will often happen, Jacqueline, is the tears will flow, because when you go into her story behind his story,
yeah, it's overwhelming.
The heart will create the tear ducts to flow. And it's that flow that healing comes from. And that's where, when his story is often about not necessarily the purity of humanity, it's often about the manipulation and power that we have been brainwashed with. Whereas her story is about compassion and love and possibility. And that's what her story comes from. And so if you can play with his story and her story, that's like when you go watch some of the animals, there's the death component to it, yet that mother who maybe took down the deer or the springbok to feed her cubs, that's nature's story. Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And if we could bring his story, her story, mother's story, I think that's what Jacqueline is going to shed a lot of tears for, because those tears aren't even her tears. They're humanity's tears, bringing in the oceans of healing. And so that's a little bit about Easter again. And so, yeah, I didn't anticipate to go there. That's the beauty, I think, of having sometimes the courage or the bravery to go to a place where you don't necessarily know where it's taking you. Yet if you allow the heart to guide you and breathe.
It's actually a wonderful idea that you got to look at these kind of stories from different angles. I've got one yesterday, happening in Kruger, which I shared with a couple of people. I must maybe send it to you directly as well, which is really a fantastic opportunity to looking at things from three directions. You had the situation of an impala, which is one of our most prolific antelopes that you've got, and they super beautiful. And she was taken down by a leopard, and while the leopard was taking her down, a hyena, the leopard was killing the impala, and at the same time an impala came from behind and started tearing the impala to pieces, and actually ripped the stomach open and took out a baby. And then that would be perfect to look from three directions. The leopard was hungry. The hyena was an opportunist. The poor impala was the guy that lost everything. And then you can put in a fourth function and say, there was a client. What did the client say? On the one side, you always want to see these things. On the other side, you never want to see them because they're so gruesome. And it's just, it can upset you completely. And at the same time, it just gives you so much opportunities to interpret the same simple little thing from four completely different angles. And everybody has got a reason, because the one wants to survive, the one loses his life, the other one looks at it and enjoys the holiday. So it's just fantastic the way that you put it in that direction.
Well, you, my dear friend, just did the exact exercise of what today has been about. Because if you remember, today's topic It's a time for growth and moving toward in new and positive ways. With psychic energy in abundance, it is the ideal month to start meditating for the purpose of healthier living and raising consciousness. You did that. You moved from 3 perspectives to 4 perspectives. When you are able to see things through 4 perspectives, you raise your vibration. Most people live in 2 dimensions. What are they? Right or wrong?
Yeah.
That's what we're trained. That's what the school system, you're right or wrong. What the people who are influencing us most in life have figured out is they use 4 perspectives to control us. When you move to triangulation, you're able to see it from a different perspective, yet it takes us the consciousness to see, feel, and experience without attachment. Would you like to know how the media controls us? Everyone interested?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They
First
control us every
perspective.
day.
Okay, so 2 dimension, and I'm going to write this out too for you, everyone, but 2 dimension is right or wrong. And that's what Trump did so well. And that's why he had so much power. When you go to 3 dimension, like a triangulation, you actually have to take the time to breathe and listen to other people's perspective. So if I have a conversation with Bill, I can immediately shut him down and say, you're wrong. And we won't have a conversation. He'll sit there. Yet if 3 of us get together, and we've done this, and we speak from different perspectives, we might learn something. That's what triangulation, that's what GPS does. It triangulates. That's how a guidance system works. GPS works off of triangulation. What we're influenced by, though, is something called NEWS, the news. They use 4 perspectives to control us. We didn't know this. Yet to get out of the control, we go to what Hartmut just did, and he went from 3 perspectives to 4 perspectives. North, now this is challenging for most. North, south, east, west. It's the news. This is a new way for you to see the world. When you see something happen, the gut to say is right or wrong. Even the most tragic things like Easter. It's so wrong, it's so wrong, it's so wrong. When they put him up there, when they killed him, it's so wrong, it's so wrong. Yet if you stay with it and see north, south, east, and west, and you create a story that Jesus is the salvation for all of us, all of a sudden the wrongness evaporates and possibility comes about. When you go north, south, you're absolute, this is wrong. And you see it from a different perspective, you start to be able to move to an Eastern perspective that's saying, wow, what else could this mean? And then you go opposite again. That's the opposite. And by getting those 4 perspectives, it totally changes your energetic charge. And you might be that beacon of possibility. That's the 4th perspective. Yet if you take it to the next perspective, there's a 5th. And that's when you stand up and you widen your arms and your legs and you become the star, the pentacle, the possibility. And you step into a new beginning because you become the center of your universe and you own that you are a universe. And when you connect your 5 points, your pentacles, allowing your heart to be your calibrating force, you can reach out and honor possibility. And the people who killed Jesus, as you saw, he was the first to go and forgive them. That's heaven on earth.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Mouthful.
And you are the center of your universe, when your heart allows gratitude, purpose and passion, and service to be your GPS, we become the change. Lots of tears.
Just amazing.
Lots of compassion.
Yeah.
Because those people who did the worst things to us, if we find the way to heal, it's to forgive. And that's what this weekend is so much about. When you talk about Mary Magdalene, when you talk about Jesus, and you talk about the possibility, which is my reality, is they went on to India to live a full life. And so these are things that are new for many, yet when you study this with possibility, what we've been taught has been so influenced by power, control, and his story. And I would love to be part of her story in a way that uplifts and brings, as we talked about from the very beginning today, a balanced, I would infuse one word, dynamic equilibrium. Because as the pentacle, as the star, as the center of our universe, that means that we can have one heck of a time as a roller coaster going east or going west or going north or going south. And wow, we can come back to an equilibrium that allows us to feel and experience flow. And that's one of the reasons why I love the study of flow. And if there's a way that you can flow, whether you're still or whether you're go, go, go. And I love your story of the impala and the hyena and the cougar, because that is so much about the circle of life. And that's why when you look at the Vitruvian Man, you'll see that there's a circle, there's a square, there's so much wisdom in that Da Vinci masterpiece that is so aligned with the chakras, which is so aligned with the energy bodies of our body, that are so aligned with the colors and the smells that Irene wants to teach and share and learn about, that allows us to transcend the physicality and embrace and infuse the spirit, the breath, the energy of life, and the appreciation and the love and the respect of death. Amen.
I know.
Yeah, you stunned us all now.
Yeah.
Well, it's been percolating for a while, folks, I must admit, and it's been percolated, it's been prodded, it's been encouraged, it's been, yeah. But thank you so much. I'm gonna
highly inspiring, Dave. Really, thank you so much.
Well, thank you, and use it in whichever way it serves you. And this is the beautiful thing, is that it speaks to each of you in different ways, different parts, different words. And that's the beauty of communicating, is that I have honestly no idea what resonated with each of you. And I can't. That's where curiosity comes in. And sincere curiosity might shock you, because, like, to be honest with you, I got complaints last week about doing the land blessing, the land acknowledgement, that somebody said that I'm using it inappropriately. And I'm going, wow. So even doing things with intention can trigger things in people that you can't even be aware of. Yet if it's coming from that place of compassion, love, if somebody lashes out at you, you can bring the energy back and maybe even transform it from their anger or their hostility and bring it back into a curiosity, a sincerity, a compassion. Because people who lash out aren't necessarily doing it to you. They've done it to themselves so many times first. not necessarily easy all the time. Yet, as you practice it, it's like a martial art, and it is like verbal Aikido, and it is like energy work, because when someone lashes, and this is the beauty thing that Bill and I went through growing up in Malton, where both of us had bullying, both of us had those experiences, and people have told me is our experiment in Malton truly was a global experiment in how cultures can evolve, because we were a melting pot in the 60s where people from all around the world came together, and we lived mostly in harmony. Yet, like you guys have experienced in South Africa, harmony doesn't mean you don't have big rain and big floods. Harmony is you deal with the flood and the changes in seasons as you grow. And so the experiences that Bill and I have had, we haven't really talked too much about it. And I want to, because I want to talk about racism with him. I want to talk about bullying with him, because that's what we experienced when we were growing up. And to work through it is to actually encourage conversation, encourage the healing, yet have the patience and the compassion.
That's very, very true what you said. We've currently got a little thing coming on a weekly basis from the German television, and we watched it last night again about slavery. And they took us over a couple of weeks now through slavery, and it brought up so many avenues for me which I've never even thought about it in the past, of slavery starting in Europe with the people from the East, with the Arabs, with everybody from that side. Then they were running out of the supply of slaves in that regard. And then they started focusing on Northern Africa, and then coming to West Africa and East Africa. And just by looking at the figures about the millions, but literally many, many millions of people that were taken across the ocean, which we did not even, although you heard over it, you grew up with it, and you had a good knowledge about it, but you never thought the fine detail. And suddenly seeing that the people going to Brazil, the middle going to Central America, to Haiti, to those islands, I always wondered, but where did the people come from? Now they're putting that into perspective. Then North America, the North and the South, and how then suddenly the British decided that slavery is not good, and they just took slavery and they just gave it a different name. And they took over huge areas in the world, being in Africa, being in Australia, being wherever, by building up farms and taking the same people to do the same sort of work for them, but you don't call them slaves anymore, but you still put them in a situation where they've actually got no other option but to serve you. And then you just see how did it carry on, and even where we are now. I just said, when it stopped, I said to Irene, just look at what this new era of COVID doing is doing. There is going to be another way of slavery that is going to come out of this. In terms of who's going to now be the slave and who's going to be, and the same people that were on top for the last hundreds of years are still going to be on top, and guys on the bottom are just shifting. And it just gives you so much more acknowledgement of what is really happening around you, and that you're actually only part of one massive big manipulation, and you just need to try and keep some vision in it.
Thank you. And yes, it is about perhaps weaving your story in a way that it can serve. And I do believe your perspective can serve. That's the beautiful thing to, in some ways, own, is that your story, told from a few different perspectives, can serve and elevate consciousness. Your psychic ability is being awoken. Your intuition, it gives me goosebumps to say it, because it is rising. And as your book that Irina shared, He Chose the Nails by Max Lucado, we've chosen our nails. It's not a coincidence.
It is. It's true.
And so
It just comes in small steps at times that we can't decide.
Irene,
The time is the factor that we can't decide. It comes sometimes years later only. So,
Kairos,
yep,
Yeah.
divine timing.
Yeah.
absolutely.
and when, yes, divine, see, the thing is, divine timing is one of those beautiful things. Yes, I invite each of us to explore what that means, and we'll talk about that in the future, because I love divine timing. I've been a student of it since I was a trader, and there are seasons to it,
Mhm.
and that's why I'm inviting us all to explore the seasons. What came out in our chat this week was everyone here in North America is thinking spring, spring, spring. Yet that's where it's beautiful having our friends in South Africa, New Zealand, is that this is autumn. And so same planet, opposite experience. Talk about north, south. This is beautiful for Jacqueline and her journeys of seeing somebody's north is somebody's south. They're not wrong. Like, you guys, no, it's spring right now. No, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. Like, that's how some people would react, right? Is that, no, it's not autumn. It's not autumn, it's spring. And they'll be adamant and they'll be yelling and screaming. They even maybe kill you over it because you're mocking them. No, it's autumn.
True.
Perspective.
It filters down to perspective. Yes, exactly. How do you look at it? What is your situation? Your situation might be completely different to anybody else's situation, and that's why it's not the way to say it's right or it's wrong. It might be different, but it doesn't. It's not. It's very seldom right or wrong. It's mostly something else, looking from a different angle or perception.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Each of you had such a beautiful role in the way today unfolded. And I really do appreciate each of you, because
I really hope I'm not going to cry all day.
if you do, Jacqueline, the invitation is for you to write some of the things that might be triggering the tears, some of the triggers, and the experiment for you might be, what is this emotion? Because that's what I would wish that the schools would start teaching, is emotional awareness, energy and motion. So your tears and your emotions aren't wrong. It's having a calibration. We haven't been taught to even know what emotions we're feeling. How do you feel? Okay. How do you feel? Okay. How do you
Fine.
feel? Fine. Exactly. So we got like fine, okay. And that's what, yet, is it sadness, or is it disappointment, or is it sense of loss, or is it grief? And so these emotions haven't necessarily been taught. So whatever emotions you're feeling, it's beautiful, especially because it's Mary Magdalene Day for you. For you to have a full spectrum, for you today to have your most emotional day with awareness, what a beautiful celebration of Mary Magdalene. And this is why it's so special this weekend. Embrace your emotions. Don't lash out with your emotions. And bring them in. Breathe into them. Breathe deep into them. Be grateful to Jesus. Experience what Jesus experienced. Experience what Mother Mary Magdalene. Experience what the guy who turned him in. Like, these are all of our human experiences. Honor them.
I think it's actually not an emotion. I think it's an energy, because I think just when you're speaking, it's just feeling, wow, there's people out there that actually get me now.
Energy in motion, emotion. So when I ask about the emotion, it's going to be, now you calibrate. Okay. And this is the thing, is our bodies even structured where we experience different emotions in our body in different ways. And so you, as the star, different parts of your body, when you got a pain in the back or pain in the leg, these are being triggered by energy blockages in motion. And so that's why you do acupressure or you do massage, so you get the energy flowing. And so most diseases are actually because the tubes either have not enough pressure or too much pressure. So to learn how to regulate your body through yoga or different types of movement or breathing. So these are things that go back to the ancient arts Taoism. In India, a lot of the different types of Ayurvedic healing, a lot of the therapies are plant-based healings, plant and flowers. So, Bill, you gonna wrap us up, or are we gonna go quickly around the circle just to say perhaps a word or a blessing for this weekend? I'm incredibly grateful to everybody, and Bill, let's give you a word, and then we'll go around the circle and finish it up.
Just simple happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Jacqueline?
Just blessings and thank you to all of you. It's been so wonderful the last few weeks getting to know you guys better.
Thank you. Irene?
The sharing component I find incredibly all over the world, but we're sharing such a oneness that just lifts me each and every week. I wouldn't want to miss this session for the world.
Thank you, Irene. And Hartmut?
Yeah, Dave, the very same to me. Just the whole situation, to have such a nice group, such unrelated people sharing and really giving something to them, to each other. And thanks to your guidance on that, you need somebody standing there giving direction. And just I thought this afternoon when you started off, now you're starting this off interesting, where is that going to end? And just your guidance in that, it just inspires every one of us to look at these things completely, I won't say different to what you thought before, but to give it some direction, to give it some very much for what you're doing to this group. And I just hope that this group could never end. I just hope it can just carry on, and it's just a part of the week that we would not like to miss.
Well, thank you all.
So much for that.
Namaste, which is a reminder, the divine in me honors the divine in you. And as I look at my board from the Law of Abundance, I'm looking at day 19, and it says, today I remember to love everything and everyone I come in contact with. And so with that, happy Mary Magdalene Day, blessed Easter Friday, and have an amazing weekend. And may love and light be your choice. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, everybody.
Everybody
Thank you
is
very much. Have a
Thank
fantastic Easter.